Today, I was reading on Twitter that somebody suggests that the next bombing site is somewhere where the two sets of pipelines intersect, and this place is called the Surgate. Surrogates is the two sets of a major pipeline intersect, and also where the major pump station to raise the pressure sit. So I read it extensively. They found that this is not a good idea because the pipeline is really easy to fix, whereas the refinery is really hard to fix because it involves the Western technology and the parts.
Is the result of a highly calculated cost-benefit analysis. In short, oil pipelines are merely the couriers, while large refining and fluid catalytic cracking (FCC) units are the alchemists. The former are easily patched up and bypassed. The latter are irreplaceable, technologically complex and heavily reliant on sanctioned Western tech. Here is the detailed breakdown of why Russia is terrified of losing its core refining units, like the AVT-6 distillation towers, while remaining relatively unbothered by pipeline hits. 1. Engineering and repair complexity, bricklaying versus silicon fabrication, pipelines, low-tech barriers. An oil pipeline is essentially a steel tube buried underground or laid on the surface. If a section is blown up, Russian engineering crews can isolate the damaged segment using automated valves, weld in a new section of pipe, and restore the flow within hours or days. It requires basic heavy industry skills and generic materials. Core refining units, high-tech bespoke giants, facilities like the AVT-6, atmospheric and vacuum distillation units, stand over a dozen stories high. Even more critical are the downstream fluid catalytic cracking, FCC, and catalytic reforming units. These are not just giant metal furnaces, they are precision chemical reactors operating under extreme temperatures, high pressures, and specialized catalyst environments. Every single one of these units is custom engineered, bespoke, to match the exact chemical profile of the crude oil that specific refinery processes. You cannot just swap parts from one refinery to another. 2. The pain of sanctions, the Western tech bottleneck. This is Russia's true Achilles heel. Following the collapse of the Soviet Union, Russia underwent a massive, multi-billion-dollar modernization of its refining sector. This upgrade was almost entirely designed, built, and managed by Western engineering giants. Monopolized technology. Nearly all of Russia's high-efficiency refining, cracking, and hydroprocessing technologies were supplied by Western conglomerates like UOP, Honeywell, Lummus Technology, and Axens France. Irreplaceable components. The highly specialized internal components, such as high-pressure compressors, automated slide valves, heavy-duty blowers, and the digital distributed control systems, DCS, that monitor the volatile reactions, cannot be manufactured inside Russia. Due to strict Western technology bans and sanctions, if a drone strike precision destroys a catalytic cracking core, Russia cannot buy replacements through legitimate channels, and smuggling these multi-ton, custom-fabricated industrial giants via shadow markets is virtually impossible. Replacing a major distillation column or reactor used to take years during peacetime. Under sanctions, it can become an indefinite standstill. 3. Strategic value. Crude oil brings cash, but refined fuel wins wars. Crude oil and refined petroleum products hold entirely different values for Russia's survival. Crude oil. What pipelines carry. This is just a bulk commodity. If a pipeline breaks, the oil can stay in the ground temporarily, or it can be rerouted via rail tanker cars and sea tankers. It hurts Russia's wallet, but it doesn't paralyze its infrastructure. Refined fuel. What AVT-6 and FCC units produce. This is the literal lifeblood of the military. High-cetane diesel, high-octane gasoline, and aviation kerosene, jet fuel, all come out of these specific advanced refining units. By targeting core refining hubs, Ukraine hits Russia's domestic stability and frontline military logistics directly. Degraded fuel quality. Without operational catalytic cracking units, a refinery can only produce low-grade heavy fuel oil, mazout, or very low-octane gasoline. Modern military vehicles, fighter jets, and even standard domestic cars cannot run on this without destroying their engines. Logistical strain. If a refinery near the western border or Moscow is knocked out, Russia has to haul fuel across thousands of miles from Siberian refineries, or reroute it via domestic rail networks. This creates massive logjams, increases military supply costs, and risks fuel panics, surging gas and diesel prices, for the Russian civilian population. 4. Economic leverage, reducing Russia to a raw material colony. If Russia loses its ability to refine its own oil, it is forced to export its raw crude at a steep discount to whatever buyers remain. In the energy supply chain, refined products carry significantly higher profit margins than crude oil. By knocking out these high-end units, Ukraine is effectively stripping Russia of its ability to add value to its own resources. It forces Russia into a deeply ironic and crippling position, being one of the world's largest producers of crude oil, while facing severe shortages of actual gasoline at home, and lacking the specialized diesel required to keep its tanks moving on the front lines. Summary: Ukrainian drones, flying thousands of miles, bypass thousands of miles of exposed pipelines, to hit the very specific highly visible towers and reactors inside Russian refineries. They have correctly identified Russia's structural blind spot, a refining sector whose modernization relied entirely on Western tech, whose capacity is heavily centralized in a few massive hubs, and whose critical components cannot be replaced under the current sanctions regime. It is a masterclass in asymmetric warfare, using a multi-$1,000 drone to permanently freeze a multi-$100 million asset.